Hello everyone and welcome to another remarkable game that I found, well, again, while scrolling Twitter. It seems to be the place to find interesting games. Chess India posted an article about the tournament and about round 5 of the Fagernes Autumn Grandmaster tournament, and this is a truly amazing game between Vaishali and Grandmaster Sethuraman. And interestingly, both Vaishali and her brother Pragnananda are playing in this tournament, and they are both doing incredibly well. As you'll see later on, we're going to discuss the standings a little bit, but this game truly stands out. The Chess India channel deemed that perhaps a Vaishali Immortal, and for a very good reason. So let's dive straight into it, as she's facing a very, very strong Grandmaster rated over 200 rating points. Okay, it's not over 200, but almost 200 rating points above her. So let's check it out. So here we have e4 and pawn to c5. Sethuraman goes for the Sicilian defense. We have knight to f3 by Vaishali, d6, d4, and captures. So very standard stuff here. Knight to f6, knight to c3, and a6, the Najdorf defense. And there are many popular options here that you can go for. Lately, even rook to g1 has been a popular one. But here we have bishop to d3. This is only the 10th most popular option, but in the Najdorf, that also means that many games have been played in this line. So g6, preparing to fianchetto the bishop, we have pawn to f3, and now not bishop to g7, which is a standard move here, but pawn to e5 first. And now there are only a handful of games that have reached this exact position. So knight back to b3, we have bishop to e6 and bishop to e3 now. We have knight b to d7, so nicely developing. And there is a game between Aryan Chopra and Jordan Fanforest that was played this year in the Abu Dhabi Masters that ended in a draw where a4 was played by Aryan Chopra. But here we have queen to d2 by Vaishali, and it is now as of move 10 that we have a completely new game. So obviously saying that she will castle queenside, and Sethuraman continues in the pretty standard fashion, b5, then you can maybe play rook to c8, or depending on what white plays, you can even play a5, a4, or b4. So really depends how Vaishali will play this. And interestingly, you can still castle kingside here. It would be the safe thing to do, but it would not be the cool thing to do. Here we have castles, queenside, and now queen to c7. Okay, just putting some pieces in front of the white king. We have pawn to f4, going after the black king. That's still in the center of the board. And now Sethuraman says that is way too slow. I'm just gonna start my thing on the queen side. So b4, and now knight back to e2. Again, very interesting. Knight to d2 is solid, and it's a very forcing line that sort of gives white the attack, but not really. Point is that you can give up a pawn here. Captures. Now let's say knight captures on d5. You capture here, black captures here, you capture here, and then knight captures on e5. And okay, black is up a pawn. White still maybe can do something, as the black king is in the center of the board. But there is no d pawn or f pawn to dislodge this knight from e5. You don't have a dark square bishop. The knight needs a few jumps to get to this knight, and black will just play bishop g7, castle kingside, and that's pretty much it. Black is just up a pawn. So it's not all that much. So Vaishali goes knight to e2 instead. We have pawn to a5, still saying you are too slow on the king side. We have king to b1, even time for a nice prophylactic move. And now we have bishop to e7. You could start pushing right away, but Sethuraman says there's no rush. I can always play a4. There's really no good way to stop this. We have h3. Now Vaishali is preparing g4, and pawn to h5 now. Stopping g4, but not really. Vaishali goes for it, pawn to g4, and now still it's probably better to just play a4, but Sethuraman goes for a pawn grab. Captures. We have rook captures on h1, rook captures on h1, and now bishop captures on g4. And now it seems that you're just up a clean pawn, but still you have given white a little something. Maybe a4 in that position would have been more solid for black. But okay, rook to h8 with check, and now bishop to f8. And this bishop to f8 is the root of all problems for black. Still, with knight to f8, you are still playing this game, and you don't really mind what white is doing. But after bishop to f8, everything just sort of falls in place. Here we have f captures on e5, d captures on e5, and now bishop to b5. So now not only is the bishop here immobilized, but also the knight on d7. So king e7, as Sethuraman unpins from everything, and now bishop to g5, creating another pin here, not allowing the knight to move. And here you have to play queen to d6, offer a queen trade, and hope for the best, because this is not an easy position for black to play. But still, Vaishali could probably play something like queen e1, and then the game continues in a very aggressive fashion. But after queen to b7, the position is just lost for black. It's such a spectacular line that, well, I'm gonna ask you guys to pause the video and try to find it. And this is only the first pause the video of the video moment, as we will have 3 of them. So, you know, choose your time wisely. So have at it while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting this incredible idea. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is knight e to d4. That's the good stuff. Now, it's such a subtle difference between knight e to d4 and knight b to d4 that both Vaishali and Sethuraman missed it, because Vaishali played knight b to d4 and Sethuraman did not punish it. For those of you who maybe thought of a4, this is also very nice. This is also winning for white, but this is, I mean, just, you know, other engine nonsense. We're not going to even discuss this. But the reason why knight b to d4 is not great and why knight e to d4 is great, we first have to show what happens if knight e to d4. The point is now that after e captures on d4, and this is by far the best move, you play bishop captures on d7, and now the problem is you can't really play queen captures on d7, because if you play queen captures, then queen to f4, now threatening to capture on f6, and after something trying to defend this, you just play knight captures on d4, attack the queen, and after the queen moves, still keeping an eye on the knight here, you just push the pawn. Now there is no stopping this capture, and also the knight is defended, so that's why it loses. The real reason why it loses is that even if king captures on d4, you play queen captures on d4, and now the problem is, well, there is no good move. Bishop to d6 would be nice. Unfortunately, it runs into this royal fork, knight to c5 check, and you lose the queen because there's a bishop now in between the queen and the king. That's why it doesn't work. The difference is, after this queen to b7 move, why you should play knight e to d4 and not knight b to d4 as it was played in the game, is exactly this bishop on f8, because now but it seems Vaishali convinced Sethuraman that this is also winning, but now he captures on d4 is actually perfectly fine for black, which was not played in the game. I'm just going to show you why. Because after bishop captures, king captures, now queen captures on d4 simply runs into bishop to d6, and there is no knight on b3 to deliver this deadly fork. The knight is on e2 because the wrong knight came to d4. And now after, let's say, captures, okay, it still looks somewhat scary, but after queen captures here, queen e8. And there's really not all that much you can do. Even, for example, knight f4, bishop f5, and it's white who has back rank issues, so it's not going to be easy, and the d4 pawn is hanging. So that's the way to do it. But she was able to take him deep into the forest, and he did not find the correct solution. He played rook to c8, and now comes, as they said it on the Chessbase India's article that I read, knight to f4. She puts her knights into a double fork. Basically, the pawn is now double forking the knights here. Incredible stuff. This is not something you see very rare. And okay, you might see it if black attacks the two knights, but I've never seen someone place both of their knights in a pawn fork. But okay, and now what do? You can't capture this knight, you can't capture this knight. It's very tricky. Why? If you capture this knight, then queen captures on f4, and how are you dealing with this? Also, this knight is attacked, so this you can just remove the defender capture here, it's not an issue. And if bishop g7, you can even play rook captures on c8, and after queen captures, just e5, so nothing really changes. Another thing, instead of e captures on f4, you could capture on d4, which is a little bit better, but still after bishop captures here, king captures, you will play rook captures on f8 now, and after rook captures, queen captures on d4. Again, you put pressure on the knight here, and there's no good way to get out of this. The king is in check, you have to move the king to c8, but now queen c5 check, for example, takes out the rook on f8. Queen c7 captures here, you're gonna play king b7, bishop captures on f6, and you're just well, even after queen captures on f4, grabbing back the piece, you can play queen captures on f7, and now it would be very dangerous to try and walk around with the king, so best would be to try and trade queens, but then just queen captures on g6, and Vaishali would be up 2 pawns with a passed e-pawn. Maybe black can save this somehow as, okay, bishops are of opposite color, but should not be an issue here. But okay, after knight to f4, he plays the absolute best queen captures on a4, which is odd. I mean, it would seem that you are able to capture one of the knights, but no, you're not. So here comes knight to c6 with check, and now there is only one good move for black here, and that is to play rook captures on c6, which was not played in the game. But the point is, you have to play this. And now it's sort of a forced draw. Knight to d5 with check, as this knight cannot move. King to e6, now you're going to capture on c6. Knight captures on d5, bishop captures on d7, king captures, rook captures on f8. And after this capture fest, is over, now we have the very nice king e6. You have to play this, defending f7, adding more defense to the knight. And here probably we would see a repetition, king d6, rook d8, king e6, or something like this. Or maybe not, but it's just one of the possibilities. The problem is, after knight to c6 check, Sethuraman has had it with this game, and he doesn't find it. He plays king to e8, and now it seems like he solved everything. There is no good way to continue the attack. The problem is, there is only one move that wins the game for Vaishali. So again, feel free to pause the video and try and spot this one while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on deciding on this move, as it's not a move you would think about playing. And for those of you who just want to enjoy the show, it is bishop captures on f6. Such a weird move, because you really like this bishop here controlling the d8 square. You're probably wondering how to give some sort of a sneaky checkmate. The thing is, this is this works just perfectly, because now if you capture the bishop with the knight, there's a discovery knight captures on b4, shifting the knight over to d5. So it's check from the bishop, and even after bishop d7, there's knight b to d5, now threatening this disgusting fork. Knight captures on f6 would be forking the king and the queen, and even after captures, the fork is still being threatened, and there's nothing you can do here. There is no move for you here. So best thing would be to play queen captures on c2, try and trade down a little bit. After queen captures, rook captures. The problem is, at the end of the line, bishop captures on d7 check, king captures, and king captures on c2. Vaishali would end up being up a full rook. So after this bishop captures on f6, knight captures on f6 doesn't work. Rather, rook captures on c6 was played. And now, again, only one move that wins the game for Vaishali. So feel free to pause the video for the last time, the third and last time, while I give you a couple of seconds. So for those of you who were able to do it, congratulations on spotting that black is getting checkmated. And the problem is this. This is the problem. Look at this. Look at this bishop. Look at this rook. And look at the queen here. Yes, that's exactly what's happening. And here, congratulations to everyone who found it. Vaishali played knight to d5. And now there's just nothing to be done here. The knight has actually nothing to do with the attack. It could have, okay, but mainly the knight moves to free up the h6 square for the queen. And now whatever you play, it just resigns. To give you an example, if bishop to e6, okay, you add one defender. There's the simple rook captures on f8, king captures, and queen to h6 check. King to e8, now trying to free up the f8 square for the knight, but okay, even this doesn't work. But there's the spectacular knight c7 check, which forces the capture, and then the knight will be just stuck here, unable to move. And after rook captures, now queen to h8 is checkmate, as the knight is pinned. The knight cannot move. So after knight to d5, rook captures on c2 was played, now threatening all sorts of nasty discoveries once the rook moves. But now Vaishali just plays rook captures on f8, and he was in this position on move 28. Yes, only 28 moves, but we've seen so many lines that it's like it's been 70 moves that Sethuraman has resigned the game, and a brilliant victory for Vaishali in round 5 of this incredibly strong tournament. So yeah, very nicely done by Vaishali, taking down a 200 rating points higher rated Grandmaster. So very nicely done. And again, you resign because of the same idea. If captures, just queen to h6 check, and that's it. Regardless of king to e8 or king to g8, queen to h8 will be checkmate, as the knight already cannot move. So a remarkable game, and Sethuraman had that one chance where he could have saved himself, but after, I mean, knight beat to d4, it was such a funny moment that it was, I mean, incredibly hard to realize that this knight would deliver the deadly royal fork that would end the game in this line. But Vaishali just wanted to pin, to fork, self-fork both of her knights, and it turned out very well. So a beautiful, beautiful win against a very strong grandmaster in this very thematic game. And yeah, like I said, she's doing incredibly well in the tournament. She's on 4 out of 5 in a very strong competition. Pragnananda is on 4.5 out of 5, and the tournament is being led with a perfect 5 out of 5 by Anton Demchenko. So obviously he's doing incredibly well. But this was the game that caught my attention, so I decided to show this one. So yeah, that's the game. Hope you guys enjoyed it. Big congratulations to Vaishali on such a spectacular win. I would like to wish a very happy birthday to Shannon. We've heard in the previous video that she allows her husband to watch chess videos whenever he wants, so that's really awesome. And I would like to thank Alan Winery, Len Herbert, congratulations Dr. Taco, and Francis Eyre for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check two of my previous videos here. Thank you for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing to check up on your wonderful suggestions and whatever else happens in the chess world. So thank you all, I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.